Sorry, guys, we're having a little bit of a delay on our side.
In terms of people showing up?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll mute till I see your room get full because we're chatterbox over here.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
We can start when Cody's ready.
I am getting there.
Hello.
Okay.
Scott, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear. At least I can.
Hello.
Hello.
Are we good?
We're good.
Fine in LA.
Give Cody a few minutes.
Give me a second. I'm almost there.
Okay. No worries.
Internet, sign in.
Ooh.
Really?
We have RFQs going on.
I understand. Anyway.
I can go remote. I'll just go.
No,
No,
we
no,
have,
no.
we have room.
Stay
I
here.
can't get out of it.
Bring that chair over.
There's chairs. I'll sit here. There's space here too. I took a bath today. You can sit next to me, Ellie.
With
Yeah,
three
you can sit
people
up. Yeah, you
upstairs.
can sit over here.
It's good for me not to say anything. There is.
We need our room.
Conference room.
We need their
there
room.
is The Pascal Mortgage, there is.
Hello, Ollie. Nice to see you. It's
It's
been
all
a
virtual.
while.
It's not like they're in person.
I don't think so. She normally wouldn't be.
Sorry, we're just getting cozy here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All righty. Ready when you are.
All right. Okay, we settled?
We're good.
All right. Cody Bartley's calling to order the Hospital Building Safety Board. This is the Offsite Fabrication Preassembled Components Webinar Development Subcommittee of the Education and Outreach Committee. Today is Wednesday, February 28th. We'll be meeting to go over the content and update the next steps. With that, I'll hand it over to you for roll call.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. This is
Amy.
Veronica Uke, Executive Director for the board.
Had enough noise from up there coming down here?
Can you hear us okay, Scott?
Yes, as long as you guys settle down.
Okay. I'll begin with roll call. Cody Bartley,
Here.
Scott Mackey,
Here.
Teresa Andrus. Here. Kelly Martinez.
Stuck in traffic.
Kelly. Okay, at this time, we do have a quorum. I'll proceed with HCI staff. Roll call. Elizabeth Landsberg, Chris Tokus,
Good morning, here.
Richard Tannehill,
Here.
Arash Altuntash, John Gray,
I'm here.
Hussein Bhatia, Joe Labrie.
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. Mia Marvelli,
Good morning, here.
Ali Sumer,
Here.
Nancy Timmons.
Good morning, I'm here.
Thank you. I'll proceed with rules of engagement. For those attending virtually, please mute your audio when not speaking. Do not use the hold function on your phone. For all attendees, please hold all comments until the end of each presentation. If you have any comments, there are two options. One, send a message using the chat icon located on the top right of the screen on Teams. Two, raise your hand by selecting the reactions icon also located on the top right of Teams. Committee and HCI staff must identify themselves before speaking. Public members do not, but can address themselves by name as a member of the public or interested party. Any voting will be done through roll call by the executive director. And that concludes the rules of engagement. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Appreciate that. All right, so moving on to part 3 of the agenda here, discussion on additional content for the offsite fabrication. We've had a couple things come up since we met last. Some of those were the TIO program draft and kind of where that stands, the fire life safety considerations, and kind of plugging in some of Nancy's content to this. But on those notes, let's talk about the TIO first. Actually, before we get to the TIO, can you pull up the PowerPoint that I sent over, and let's just look through that, and it will daylight some of the open gaps that we still have to go. Thank you. So I'm going to go past the parts that we have, and we're just going to focus on the holes, and that's what we need to fill at this point in time. The HCI point of view on the offsite prefabrication and pre-approved fabricated components. I believe this part was coming for Richard or Chris. I probably just need to work with you to get a quote on this.
Okay.
That should go pretty quick. We had the architects, the contractor's point of view, the background, stepping through all the different pre-approvals, going through the definitions again, highlighting just kind of where we stand with the 6 PCSs that are currently going through, highlight the different aspects of all the different types of prefabrications, pretty vast. Giving some examples of this, right? This is supposed to kind of entice some people and just create some ideas. Distinctions between off-site fabrication, being adjacent to the site or out of state, right? This is where we're going to hit on those notes. Richard and myself, I think we're taking this one. We had some pretty good pictures and examples of off-site fabrication warehouses and just kind of what goes into setting that up. Richard, I had this part coming from you. So this was the breakdown types of PCSs. The repetition within a project, repetition across projects is pre-approval. I misspelled that.
Okay, so you need more information or?
Yes. Different types of the PCSs as you kind of see them playing out currently. Just repetition within a project, repetition across projects, multiple. What is the purpose of the pre-approval program? I think this is where we're hitting on that. Reza, I had you speaking to this slide. This is the purpose as far as like when we get to the actual putting on the webinar. I've got kind of, if you're looking at the slides here, whoever I have in the box at the top of the slide, kind of whose slide that is. That will be the speaker.
Okay, I was talking about that.
Okay. Why offsite prefabrication, right? This is highlighting some of the advantages of it. Then we're getting into some of the case studies here. Teresa had a run at it. Goals of the PCSs. Scott and Teresa, designing for manufacturing and assembly, speaking on the design component, how these get integrated here. Timing to integrate it is in the process. Application submittal requirements. This was, you had great content on this. We need more content on this slide here. What should the document show regarding the PCS? So once we have a PCS, I think we just want to take a moment, pause, and just kind of tell the group from this PCS, you're taking the entire submittal, putting that in the documents, right?
Is this for the actual project approval of it?
Yes, for the actual
Okay.
project approval. Project-specific prefabrication. Examples, who inspects offsite? So this is where we get into the inspection aspect of it. But I think what we're missing here is the draft TIO. And Belinda has been working on one, right? But I believe it's becoming more project-specific than template.
Yeah, I did talk to Belinda about it. Basically, they've scaled down what they're doing for prefabrication. So I don't think it's going to help us as an example.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking to Joe at ISU to help put one together that's a little more complex, so that we can give a good example of it.
Yeah. Best way to handle that one or move it? Should I contact Joe on that front?
Joe's on the call.
Joe's on the call.
So,
Yeah,
so,
Joe's volunteering.
so Richard, this is Scott Mackey, member of the committee. So you're saying we've got a simple TIO form now for prefab, and you're waiting for a more complicated one?
Yeah. Well,
Thanks.
they scaled it down so much from what they're doing, it's not going to really show a whole lot. Basically, they're just doing very basic items and very little assembly offsite.
This is Chris. It's not that we want a simple one. We want something that basically gives I'll use the word complete picture of how should a TIO of this nature address all the various items that need to be on the TIO, rather than just the specificity that we have in this particular project.
Yeah, we're getting down to like one item on this one, which I don't think would be a good representation of teaching people how to do a TIO with offsite fabrication. I think we would want to see some assembly, some welding, things like that, and what needs to be inspected. And then
I agree.
the process goes out.
Yeah, I agree. My point wasn't that I didn't, that I don't want it complete, because it does need to be complete, obviously. Let's just do our best not to make it overly complicated. It needs to be comprehensive, but just not overly complicated.
Yeah, it needs to be clear, but it just, what Belinda is doing now, I just don't think would be a benefit to this presentation. No knock to that, but it's just getting scaled down too much, which is a problem in itself.
In my mind, what a template is it's everything that's possible, right? And then as a project team, you things that aren't applicable, but you start with the full package and looking at what everything could be.
Exactly.
So how do we develop that then, would be the question. Joe, do you have?
This is Ali. Maybe we just show our regular TIO form and mention that whatever applies to your prefab unit, then you can select each and every one of these, and the manufacturer decides like what would be feasible at their shop versus at the inspection site, so that they plan on the inspections.
Well, it's not necessarily that it's feasible. Okay, so again, the way that I see it, there are testing inspections that need to be done at the site, meaning, okay, so in this case, wherever it is, Alabama, okay, so
Yeah.
wherever the fabrication takes place. And also, I want, again, inspections upon delivery, before it even is installed, okay, so in the building itself, okay, so you have, okay, so what's required, okay, so at the shop, and then, okay, so upon delivery, and then, okay, so while it's installed. So you have 3 different types of testing and inspection that need to be, again, addressed by the TIO. So that way, okay, so everything's clear. We have been in a variety of projects seeing things that where components are delivered on site, they're not inspected, they are installed, and then we find all these problems. So the idea is not to get to that point.
In the PCS program, we added a TIO section that looks at also like if something is damaged during the transportation. So that would be a good one to show.
So is it project, is it specific to the product? Like when you write the TIO, for example, we have shore
Yes.
pods.
Yeah.
Shore pods is different than Taylor damping device.
Exactly.
So each one of them has their own.
Yeah.
So for presentation, do we want a sample of one of the item?
Exactly. We were going to use Kaiser Roseville as an example,
Okay.
but like I said, they were going to do all kinds of stuff. And it's been whittled down to basically a head wall and really no tests or anything, just material identification. So it's, again, it's not a good example. If we have something better, yes, exactly what you're saying, to show what would be required. And it can be fictitious, it just needs to be something.
Well, we can look at shore pod and see what we expect to be inspected in the field, and then give us.
There's a new submittal coming.
Okay.
That includes electrical, mechanical, and other disciplines. So we can look at that and see if that would be suitable for this presentation.
Right, and as Chris was saying, we want what's happening off-site. We want, when it's unpacked on-site, that it has to be just a check to make sure it's not damaged, and then actual installation, right? I see it as 3 pieces.
Well, I can even go more finite. So let's say that I am prefabricating a beam column connection tree. And yes, there is special inspection in the shop. Yes, so the IOR goes in the shop. But yet, when it's delivered, and after it's erected, we find problems with welding, we find problems. That should not happen. It should not be unloaded from the track bed. If the IOR, upon receipt, sees, okay, so in this case, the quality is not there, it should not be even unloaded. So you're thinking in terms of big components, but it applies to everything essentially. I have specific examples, but I'm going to expose specific projects, so that's why.
But there's only a couple products that have made it through the PCS program so far. So
But see, I think we're restraining ourselves. Just thinking about the PCS program. But to me, I guess, again, I can chop up an entire building and prefabricate various components off-site. And thereby, okay, so I'm delivering, okay, so pieces on the job site, call it pre-assembled, I guess, in this case. Same rules apply. So I'm looking at a small component versus a more integrated component that has architectural, electrical, mechanical, plumbing. Same rules apply.
And that's really the message we're trying to drive home here.
Right.
The same rules apply whether it's offsite or not. You're doing the inspection just as the basics.
Right. Yeah, we kind of want to walk them through the TIO process. Here's what you're doing off-site, here's what you're doing when you arrive, and here's what you're doing when you're installing it, which would be more typical, how I see it. One of the examples we used was they were doing a Oshpod 1 modular building off-site. Same rules would apply there.
Yep.
They inspect it all on site, they assemble it and inspect it on site, they deliver it, it gets inspected when it arrives, and then when it's installed, they go through and the final. So you would just take that same process to any component. The one that Kaiser Roseville's doing, like I said, it's just material ID in the factory, and they're just chopping them the size and then shipping them out. It's like, that's it. There's nothing really there.
You know, I think we need a summary slide here. Just the initial kind of summary, just all the steps in the inspections at fabrication, inspection when it arrives to job site, and inspection when installed. I think like there's a summary slide before all these, and then we dive into each of the different components.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
But yeah, I think by right now we have it broken up to individual slides. I don't think it drives home the message of it.
But
They're
okay,
linked
this is part of this exercise, so we can see the whole thing. So this is good.
Joe?
Yeah, thank you. I put into the chat something that I think is important to bring up, and I think while we don't want to make it a complicated process, the fact that we're fabricating offsite actually adds a dimension of complexity, and there's no way around that. It just is. At the same time, it offers some simplicity as well. So the personal knowledge has to be met, and I think whoever and whatever project we're talking about needs to address the personal knowledge through some kind of written quality assurance program that the design professional could put together with the rest of the team that addresses some of the elements that I've shown there. How, when, is it, at the shop, after transport, in the final configuration, and how is personal knowledge being gained and obtained reasonably by all of the stakeholders for the project. So that's a high-level description of what I would hope to see in a quality assurance program and a TIO, reflected in a TIO that's properly thought through and thoroughly thought through. Because whether it's happening in a factory or whether it's happening on site, the regulations don't change. They don't require anything less than what they require. So I just wanted to bring that up to your attention in case that's useful to you.
So in the presentation here, we were kind of talking them through each of the inspection processes, right? But we were hanging up on getting that draft TIO on here, and here's a lot of conversation on it right now. And it sounds like we kind of want to grab just the template TIO that's there right now, and just that's kind of a placeholder. It's to drive home the message that it's the exact same that you would have done on the project. You just got what's applicable to offsite.
Yeah, I like the idea of having the summary ahead of time, but I also think we need to step through an example.
Okay.
Because as Joe's saying, it does add complexity. That's why we're having this presentation, because that's the biggest piece of this is the inspections, right? Gonna make or break it.
There are a couple of different ways, I guess, to actually structure the TIO. Okay, so I think that's why we need to, this is not the place, but we need to start thinking, I guess, in this case, is it a TIO that has 3 components? Okay, so.
Well, we already have 2 of them, at least. We have the offsite fabrication and the installation, so it's just a matter of inspection.
Correct.
So is that something we can come up with? I'm looking at
Where are we, and I know it's premature, when do we want to have a guest of seminar?
About a year ago.
I understand, so, but again, certain things happen for a reason, so because I think if we had it a year ago, we would not really put the appropriate information out. So
yeah, I think we were aiming for spring or early summer.
Okay, so then we have time.
Yeah.
To deal with those. So.
But we need somebody that thinks they can put it together, I guess. Not keep looking at you.
We'll contribute to this with the ongoing projects, and but there are many moving parts here.
Yeah, and again, it can be fictitious. It
Yeah.
just needs to be realistic on how it's done.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll help with this.
you can coordinate with Joe as well.
Yeah.
Good.
There's TIO part, there's some other things that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, I like it. I think, so we do the summary slide, we talk about, go in depth to each of the inspection locations. Then we put the TIO probably at the back of that section and walk through a example of it. What happens if something changes, right? And then we get into the examples. I think we're in the home stretch of this one.
One of the items that, and I don't know if we're gonna do it in this presentation, it'll require a separate presentation. Or there are two different seminars. It's pre-assembling components. In other words, the example that we have today is UCSF. There's no room on the site. So thereby, I guess in this case, what they're going to do is they're going to pre-assemble again systems, and they're going to deliver them on site, I guess, and then erect it in place. So it's a form of prefabrication, and I think we're going to see more and more as sites become a lot more restricted, I guess, as far as staging. So do we include it here? Do we have a different seminar?
That's what I need to add is the different types
Okay.
and go into, so we're looking at the different variations of this. So I need to expand on that.
Because one is a complete system versus the other one that is.
Yeah, exactly. So if we have examples of everything, I'm familiar with a few.
And we have actually a good set of drawings of how they are chopping up things, so you can how. So let's take a look at that.
Okay. But yeah, that's why we added this to slide for the different types. I want to address, because not all of these look the same. So.
Because I want to bring up, because again, purging, I want to bring up all these things that have to happen.
So far, so good. Sutter Santa Rosa. We had a placeholder here. Chris or Carl will give us some information on exterior skin. Coffin pod. Overhead corridor, utility frame. Washpod 3, sure pods, integrated OR ceilings. I added this one. I got some information on San Jose. It was a good example of an Washpod 1 and just some of the benefits that they were able to do.
What is it? What are we looking at?
Modular chiller plant. On-site constraints, future flexibility. Their current chillers were located in the basement, so they put this one on the roof, knowing that their future planning was this way they could reuse the chillers when they do their next build. Fabricated Kingstown, Ontario. It was flown into the air. There was a good shot of the crane that I don't have on here, but the remaining chiller plant construction was complete in 20 days. Came out as two units basically that then just got bolted together once it was set on the roof.
So previous one was a shore pod? Previous slide?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was just talking about the applications that had been done on another project.
Is this
This is
our shore
Washpod
pod?
3.
Washpod 3.
About 3.
Washpod
Not
3.
our shore.
Well,
Do we want to talk to the Washpod 1 versus the Washpod 3 at all and just?
Sure. Because they're two different things.
Right.
yeah.
Actually, that's going to be a good example here, so that there's no restraint. However, here are the differences.
That's why I wanted to include this one too.
The picture that you have on the right, that's actually, we see more and more of that, okay, so as far as basically the entire unit being pre-assembled, rather than just start bringing every piece of pipe and so on just within the building. So I think we're going to see a lot more applications of that. So so we saw it in Stanford, we saw it in a variety of buildings, and it's taking off. So
Right.
it's not necessarily an OSHPA pre-approved system. Okay, so but that's how it's assembled and brought, and that's where the TIO is very important.
Do you see a difference between prefabricated versus pre-assembled in just the definition of the word there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. As I was just looking at what the title was.
Yeah.
Because the prefabrication program that we have is like SurePods and stuff, they're going to prefabricate it. And then as Chris was mentioning, pre-assembling is you're basically still doing stick built, but you're doing it in a controlled environment.
Okay. I've changed the word on this slide to pre-assembled, yeah, instead of prefabricated. I think that speaks better to the message we're trying to deliver.
Yeah.
If we have a better word, I'm okay with it, because but we're using it in this context.
Okay.
Cody, this is Scott Mack. You might want to put those two definitions early on in this presentation, the difference between prefabricated and preassembled.
Teresa, have you've been around the US, have you seen anything different used, I guess, as far as those two terms?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. I don't want to standardize something that is going to create havoc or give
It's already standardized somewhere else.
Okay, then we're good.
Like this is Ali, in manufacturing, there's an assembly line, and there's a fabrication line.
Right.
So assembly lines are basically bringing the prefabricated pieces together.
Okay.
Because they are assembly lines, not fabrication lines. So,
I can get with that, okay?
Yeah.
Just like the fabrication of the metal studs before the assembly of the actual pod.
Exactly.
Okay.
exactly.
But this can get more into components and like this, where the lower right one, where they're pre-assembling those and or prefabricating them and then putting them all together.
Okay. All right.
Because you know
Would,
what's going to happen, it's going to create a standard for the whole
Well-
industry.
Well, what I'm thinking is that maybe we have kind of like a flow chart, org chart that has the definitions that kind of shows how they, because like mentioning the components, right? That's a
Sure.
whole other piece, right? So maybe we have like the different, like just a graphical representation
I
of the
like it.
difference between the two.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
That seems to be a lot of the talk is based around that
yeah, yeah.
and what's required, because some of it doesn't require TIOs.
Right.
Some of it's manufactured and sent out.
Right.
So, but it does require
Right,
well,
right.
stuff like that.
Cody, I can work on that with you.
Okay.
I'll lean into Mika to make sure I have the right terminology.
Great.
She's their prefab master.
Perfect. Well, like I said, I guess OSHPA leads the way.
Yeah,
When we create something, all of a sudden takes off and becomes the standardized language.
yeah.
So I have a question. So when we want to change the document, this is not a live document. We have to send it to you when you incorporate it.
Correct. And I believe the appropriate is it sends to Yvette and Yvette sends it to me.
Okay.
But we are allowed to talk one-on-one.
And then is this document available somewhere? So we at least know what are other slides. So like when we write something, we don't
Is
repeat
this-
something or something.
Is the slideshow available? Yeah, we
Yeah.
can, we can get it to you. Yeah.
We can provide that.
Okay.
Couldn't set up a box folder and send out the link, so I'm working in a local document and then I sent drafts for the president for these.
We'll
meetings.
create something.
Okay. Put something on SharePoint.
Yeah, we'll find the internal place where we all look at it.
But I'm trying to settle out on content. Once the content's done, I have some marketing support that can go put some pictures and just kind of format this so it's a little bit more presentation. Right now it's pretty rough. So you're looking at just rough content assembly, right? And then we'll get pretty here in the last home stretch. Okay, let's keep going. We have Kaiser Roseville. I think this one was missing some pictures. Like this has a lot of words, but does anybody have more pictures of the?
That would be
Yeah.
Belinda?
Yes,
Right.
Melinda. We had the good example with Kaiser Roseville. Sounds like it's gotten reduced a little bit, but all the pictures here that we're showing are still the things that you mentioned.
Wait,
Yeah,
can you
they're
go
good-
back to the
they're good
bullet point?
examples. There's probably not gonna happen.
So any of these things that are bullet points, should we show? Like, should we show the mock-ups that were created in the warehouse,
Oh, that would be great.
right?
Those were the next slides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they were just mostly doing mechanical plumbing prefab? What are the
Like I said,
head walls? Okay.
it's been whittled down even more.
Okay.
So,
Was that a result of the mock-up?
from what I'm hearing, and I've heard different things, is that's a result of the IORs. So I'm a little concerned about that. The IORs saying they're not gonna do inspections when it's not complete or partials. They also thought they had to fly to San Diego to do it, which is not true. You know, there's a lot of misinformation there. So this presentation would have been good for them. But that is something we should address. And that's hopefully what we are addressing, is what's required when the inspections, you know, how do you handle offsite inspections, who can do it, things like that. But I heard there is a lot of, that's how it got kind of, well, we're not gonna do this, and we're not gonna do this, and now it's basically cutting studs offsite, bringing and shipping to the site. So it's very little. I also been told that I'm wrong, but.
I get told that all the time. I still think we leave it as the example. Like there's a couple pictures we can
These are great
talk to.
examples.
There's the message here. So once we get all the content, do we have some dry runs of this? Is that okay before?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can we also make it look prettier?
Yes.
Well, that's something that we need to work on it, because I saw some slides that they are extremely busy and.
Well, and there's like 85 different fonts.
Right.
Well, that was the comment you made, that this
Yes.
is a rough draft and it's nice that you have somebody that's marketing that can address it. Yeah, that's.
But we're just getting all the bullet points, the pictures to support the story,
Okay.
and then I have some support.
sorry, I
Like,
missed
I
that
know
part.
formatting's not my forte.
We'll take care of it.
And see, this is Cody, so he's starting to take offense.
Rough around the edges. Okay.
He knows me. He knows I want things to look a certain way.
Yes. Oh, Mika already commented on this too. She was very disappointed I was presenting it in this fashion. Okay, so Kaiser Rosa, we talked about this.
Again, some of those bullets could be updated. I think they're doing the prefab in San Diego now. Not that that really matters on the content, but
I need to collect some more on Kaiser and Marcos.
We have a lot of stuff on that.
The team was going through the close out there and they were a little safeguarded at the time, so
I'm not surprised.
I'm still working on getting that stuff. The ask, right, this is what we're leaving the team with. As far as like, we're encouraging you to go explore more options. There are benefits to this, minimizing disruption. That's what we're selling. Okay, so I think we've talked about the holes, the TIO. The one thing, Nancy, let's put you on deck here.
Yes.
How do we plug you into this? Or where do you see the best spot?
And I think your plan, you needed information on the plan, what needs to be on the plans. I think that would be a good spot. It's some considerations that we've seen in the past, or some types of issues we've seen in the past with these. With the examples that we've seen, different items come up, such as, you're talking about prefab versus pre-assembled, and if that unit is adjacent to a rated wall, typically we've seen that rated wall finished first, as opposed to having to try to have that rated assembly within the unit. So you just put it in place and the wall's already there. That's one way that we've seen it. Something to consider with that setup is when that prefab unit is put into the space that the walls are surrounding, that the protection, you're gonna have a gap basically, right? You're gonna have the rated assembly and then a gap, and then the prefab unit, making sure that the penetrations through that carry all the way through. Some other things that we've seen are when they have what's in the interior. We had one proposed that they wanted all the same, like as far as what's the interior, what are the interior finish materials. And one company it was just the same for whatever product they had, it was the same interior finish, where another was the designer and the client were able to choose, just like they could in a regular room, what's the carpet, what's the furniture, what do you want in there? So looking at that, and of course, that's been mentioned many times, it's the requirements are still the requirements, but just something to think about if they're trying to get a pre-approval for one unit, then don't forget about the doors, the interior finish, if there are rated assemblies. Something we saw at Kaiser when we were at that mock-up was they were proposing to protect a panel with a product that was not listed and approved, and they had that they wanted to do that for all of the locations where there was a listed approved assembly that they could have used for that protection. So that was something we had to address there. Other issues we've seen are the sprinkler protection. Some of these come with a perforated top for the sprinkler to be dropped in, but then also similar to the rated assembly at the walls, what's happening at the rated assembly at the horizontal assembly, and is there a space in between or is there not? And if there is, does that need sprinkler protection in addition to what's inside the not the modular, but the prefab?
Do we have examples of that, Nancy? I'm looking at this picture in the middle here that has a bit, looks like a fire rated box around it that can be inserted into a wall. Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, that's one example. What Kaiser had at one didn't work, so that was good that we went out there and helped them with that. So maybe this is something that they came up with, but yes, exactly. If this is required to be rated and they don't already have the rated assembly constructed and just putting this in that space like a puzzle piece, then how do those rated assemblies look? And what we've been presented with more frequently is that they want to they'll just build the walls, the rated assemblies as needed, and then put these in as a puzzle piece. So it's just something to think about, which way are they going to go with it? Which way do they want? And then making sure that everything's addressed appropriately for that.
Do you have examples of that? Any photos?
I'll look. I did take some at Kaiser, and the examples that I had from a couple years ago, I'll have to look and see if I saved those or not.
When you mentioned the doors and all that, I got a little confused. Are you talking about more like the SurePod type of thing where they come with doors?
Yes, so when everything is, I think you're calling that one pre-assembled, and with the interior finish, the doors, again, everything code-wise, we'd look at what's the hardware on those doors. Does the door fall into a rated assembly, or is it separate from that, like the bath?
Only if the door is a part of the assembly. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So again, we've been presented with these in various ways. So just making sure that, both Richard and Chris mentioned, the requirements are still the requirements. But what we were seeing, that some of these things were taken into consideration where they thought they had an OSHPD approval. That was everything. It was approval for everything, all disciplines. So we helped them understand we still need to look at all these other components. So that helped out. That was a couple of years ago, though. So I'm sure that's changed. But just more of an awareness of what they need and what to consider prior to being in the field.
I just think some examples would be helpful.
Mm-hmm. I can do that. I'll look and see if I saved.
Okay.
I put you on the spot there, Nancy. Like, maybe if we could get some time and just talk through some bullet points, maybe on what that slide looks like.
Sure.
Can help with that.
Thank you. It isn't, it doesn't come down to much difficulty. It's just more of a thinking of it beforehand as opposed to on the site. Even something like, if you've got a damp or a duct coming into this, and where is the, if it's pre-assembled versus prefabbed, if it's along the rated, if the assembly includes the rated, if the unit includes the rated assembly with it, or if it's going to be placed with the walls already constructed prior to, to all of that. So if you've got a damper coming through a rated assembly, and then there's that gap, and then you have this space, how is that protected? What does that look like? Just some of those details that might be overlooked. The global might be addressed, but the details of what does that actually look like might be missed.
Okay. So I think the spot in the presentation that seems to make sense to me is after we're talking about timing to integrate PCS into design, we're going through that. Then we could hit on the fire life safety considerations, and then we're moving into the PCS application submittal requirements. So we're talking about drawing, design requirements, and then the application of it.
Sure.
Okay, I'll work with you. We'll get a couple slides put in there on this.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up what I had for the discussion. I think we've talked about the open holes and kind of where the presentation stands. So from now, I think we need a couple weeks of just collecting the rest of these content and getting the spots filled. Work with you to get this on a shared drive somewhere so everybody can see it. Any other discussion, public input, members of the board? Discussion, public input from the public? Okay, so I think that wraps up section 3 here. Section 4, I jumped the gun on a little bit, but discuss next steps to finalize this webinar. Let's put a goalpost, 2 weeks, to have the missing components that we've discussed today put into the PowerPoint here. Veronica, do you know the next Education and Outreach Committee meeting coming up?
I mentioned it here. Actually, I did.
And where it lives on SharePoint will be sent out by HCI staff,
Right.
That email, yeah.
We'll make it,
May 22nd.
So that's a little bit far out. I think we're going to need another one of these subcommittee meetings.
and if we need to.
There's a lot of brain power in the room, but I appreciate all your guys' attention here, and it really drives home the importance of this.
Well, it will set the stage, so that's why I think the project has to be as complete as possible and as informative as possible.
Yeah.
So I'd rather take some more time to prepare rather than having questions afterwards. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have questions afterwards, but at least we just will finish product.
Should we look at a subcommittee meeting probably end of March, around that time frame, middle to end of March? We should probably call that one final draft review.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably need another one end of March, beginning of April for a dry run through content. And that would set us up to end of April release.
Be ready to go.
Ready to go.
And we'll pull a
Subcommittee,
subcommittee
yeah.
for both.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other next steps, things that we're missing?
I think the discussion that we had today was healthy, it was good, it positioned us, and we'll have actually a good product.
We're going for it.
Great job.
Any other discussion, public input? Okay. I think that brings us to the end of our meeting. Any other comments, issues not on this agenda? Move to end the meeting. I don't think we need a second, right? So, okay.
We don't need a motion to end the meeting.
All right, that's the end of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Short, sweet.
Really good one.
Should copy this.
Yeah.